Good afternoon, everyone. I am so sorry about that 14 seconds of nothingness and then somethingness. We're having a few little technical difficulties, but hopefully they have been resolved moving forward. So good afternoon, everyone. Can you guys somebody respond in the chat and tell me that you can hear me and you can see everything now? Awesome, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Well, thank you for bearing with us. My name is Alina Gilbert. I will be presenting our Darwin Awards for Association Living Part 2. Part 1 was back in 2021, so I don't know if any of you actually attended that one, but if you did, this is kind of, more of the same. So I'm going to do some housekeeping. This is probably one of my favorite e-cards ever because it is so true. But again, I'm Alina Gilbert. I'll be presenting today. And the bulk of your screen should be the PowerPoint. And then I am on the left side. Hello, it's me. If you have questions as we go through this, you have a private chat icon. So please just type it in there. I will probably save questions for the very end because we have a lot to get through. And I want to make sure we get to watch everything. I know you did not get your PowerPoint yet. And I did that on purpose because there's really nothing legal per se in the PowerPoint. It's mostly kind of the entertainment of the Darwin Awards and the stuff that we're going to talk about. You can take notes on because that's going to be more kind of legal in nature. We will send you a copy of the PowerPoint with your CMCA certificate, which you should get in the next couple of days. You'll get 1 credit. And you'll get a copy of the PowerPoint. If you don't need it, delete it. If you want it because you love these memes, feel free to keep it. If you have questions while we're going through this, or you're having difficulty with something, a couple of options for you. One is email our education coordinator, Jessa, at jledesma@altitude.law. You can also call Jessa directly at 303-991-2086. Okay? If you are having technical difficulties before calling anyone or doing anything, there should be a little button on the bottom of your screen that says no audio or video ? Click on that, and that should take you through some steps to hopefully correct that. If it doesn't help, then go ahead and reach out to Jessa. Last but not least, there will be a survey at the very end. If you have time, you can be very quick. If you have time to do it, I would so much appreciate it because really your feedback is kind of how we mold these classes, and we need to know what we're doing that you guys don't like or what we're doing that you do like so we can do more of the stuff you like. All right, so without further ado, I would like to go ahead and get started. Are you guys all ready for the Darwin Awards? All right, dun, dun, dun. Okay, so what are the Darwin Awards? We got to start with the basics, right? Recognition of individuals who have supposedly contributed to human evolution by selecting themselves out of the gene pool by dying or becoming sterilized via their own actions. That I did not make that up. That's Wikipedia for you. So what are the Darwin Awards with respect to HOAs? Recognition of communities or board members or residents who have contributed to the negative image of HOAs in the United States by doing, saying, or writing something so stupid or so ridiculous that it upsets the reasonable person and makes such person not like HOAs. And that's my own definition. If you like it, yay. All right, so that's really what we're going to be focusing on today. So why do we care about any of this stuff? Well, we can always learn something from other people's mistakes or stupidity. There's always a lesson to be learned. It's fun, I think, for us to look at these things, and it kind of makes us feel better about our own situations, I think. And it helps us understand also why some people don't like HOAs, because you guys know, you've been doing this long enough that you know there is abuse here and there. And there are things going on that aren't always kosher, so to speak. So, with that in mind, let the awards begin. But I must give you kind of my warning here. There will be some foul language in here. It can be in writing, it could be in videos. So just so you know, there's going to be some foul language. We do have a couple videos to watch. We have angry people. There's nothing you haven't seen or heard before in person. And again, I'm not trying to offend or insult anyone. I just want us to kind of see these things in their full glory. Otherwise, it's not as powerful. So again, let's go ahead and start the awards. First, we'll do a quick ha 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 moment. So, are you ready for our first recipient of the Darwin Awards for HOA Living? You are. All right. This is go directly to jail, do not pass go, do not collect $200. So, this is a purple playground that posed problems for the homeowners. The HOA guidelines required a playground to be subdued and within the harmony of other colors of the community. HOA did not like this playground, sent a letter to the owners basically saying, hey, if you don't take this down, you are going to jail. All right, stop right there. Seriously, you're going to jail. This is a link below, and you'll get it when we send you the PowerPoint handouts of the story. It's a news story. Ultimately, owners sued and won. Now, one thing I'd like you to think about with this particular situation is, why did the owners win? Well, of course, there's the typical of what does it mean to be in harmony with other colors, right? That's one thing. But what about the part about threatening jail time for the homeowners? I think any judge who would see that would think it to be completely egregious. And judges, as I think we all know, will side on with the homeowners if they can. And they will kind of twist the facts to create their version of the law that allows them to get the results they want. So in this particular case, I have no doubt in my mind, even though I didn't see it, I didn't see the case, it wasn't published, but I have no doubt in my mind that the judge took the position that this definitely falls within the subdued colors, and it is within the harmony with other colors in the community. Originally, the homeowners wanted it pink. They compromised and made it purple. Apparently, that was not good enough. So not only did the board require them to remove it, which in and of itself, they should have required repainting, I would think, because it sounds like playground equipment is allowed. They just have to be with an appropriate color. So not only did they require and demand that the playground be removed, they also threatened that the owners will go to jail. So the lesson here, I think, is going to be, A, don't threaten jail. Don't let your boards, your communities ever put anything like that in a letter to an owner. And if you're a board member and you are in a self-managed community, don't ever put anything in a demand letter threatening jail time. That is just not going to make the association look good. It is not going to get you the outcome. All right. So that's number one. You guys ready to go to number two? Patterns matter. All right. This is from a social media post. I used to live in an HOA. One of the members on the board lived across the street from my neighbor and I. He sent a letter to us saying we all have to mow the lawn on the same day, at the same height, and in the same pattern to create uniformity in the neighborhood. My neighbor and I intentionally cut on different days and opposite patterns just to annoy the guy. Yeah, we don't know what the real story is here, right? We just don't. But a few takeaways from this one is, one, if a board member who lived across the street really did approach these owners, and whatever that board member, may have said, whether it's you got to cut on the same day or you got to do it in the same pattern, whatever he may have said, he did this on his own, right? This wasn't like a letter from the board. It wasn't official communications from the association to this owner. Excuse me. So this was something that a board member did on his own. Now, it's highly unlikely that the board collectively got together and said, okay, Bob, we are authorizing you to go talk to people on your street and tell them what they're doing wrong. I highly doubt that's what happened. And in most cases, when we see this type of behavior, board members, they just do it on their own. They figure I'm a board member and I can do this. Well, it can expose associations to liability. If you have a board member acting outside the scope of their authority, they're still incriminating the association and the other board members. So there is always going to be a problem when we have one director who, without knowledge of the rest of the board or without authorization, is going around talking to people. The other problem is talking to people creates a he said, she said, right? Right. So who knows what really happened with this? Whether or not this is true, I think is going to be irrelevant, because once it's out in the World Wide Web, people see it, they read it, and they believe it. Because if it's on the internet, it must be true, right? So people are people who don't like their HOAs, all they're going to do is read this and be like, yeah, that happened to me. And this does nothing to help the image of our HOAs. It's out there, they can't take it back, and they don't want to take it back. So again, a couple of lessons with this one. No police allowed. Okay, this one is interesting. So, dear Mr. and Mrs. Blank, we have received complaints that you have called the police multiple times on your neighbor a few homes down because the contractor they use is using your driveway and yard to get to their backyard to cut the grass. We feel the weekly police presence does not, oh, sorry, I can barely see, look good for our community. And the recent visit by the police almost resulted in, the landscaper worker being arrested and equipment taken away. So stop right there. If you've got an encounter between the police and a contractor where the contractor's on the verge of getting arrested, I don't think that contractor is completely innocent, right? They're saying something, they're doing something that kind of gets to the point of them being arrested. So I don't see this as like an poor innocent contractor. Let's keep going though. All these police visits and drama are a violation of the rules you signed when you moved in. So what rules would those be? The ones that said you can't call the police? Members need to respect each other and work together, period. Your property is owned by you, but falls under the community's, bad grammar too. Falls on the communities to use if they need to get to their backyard, but cannot through their own property. We are asking you to cease calling the police and to be understanding that your neighbor pays for landscaping and has to use your property to access his backyard. Again, I have no idea, no way of knowing whether that's even accurate. And here's the kicker: calling the police again will result in possible action to kick you out. or face fees for causing a disruption and stress to the neighborhood. Oh, there's so much wrong here. I really don't even know where to start. Let's talk about telling an owner they cannot call a police. All right, if you take nothing out of this, take this. Don't ever tell owners or residents that they cannot call the police or they should not call the police. They have a right to call the police if they feel there's illegal activity, if they feel that they are being threatened. It doesn't matter. It's a neighbor to neighbor issue, and we don't know the whole story. And for example, I had an association once where it was a stacked condo community, and there was a homeowner on the lower floor, and the floor above them, there was, I don't know if it was some sort of domestic violence or people fighting all the time, but the police was constantly coming up upstairs. And the board wanted to send the upstairs homeowners or residents a letter basically saying, hey, you need to stop because it's a disruption to have the police be called every time. Holy cow. Can you think of a few things that might be wrong with that? So first of all, that could be considered retaliation by the association for someone calling the police. Everyone has a right to protect themselves. If there's some sort of domestic violence up there and the husband is abusive, wife is calling the police, are you telling her that she needs to basically take the abuse and not call the police? Huge, huge liability exposure. Don't ever tell owners they cannot call the police. That is their right as US citizens. You cannot take that away from them as an association, okay? And when these types of things get posted on the internet, as I said before, people believe them. And some board president wrote that, and I can tell you almost 100%, they did not consult with their legal counsel before drafting that. That is a horrible letter. It is, I suspect, factually inaccurate. And it threatens to kick someone out of the community, which they probably don't have a legal right to do, but also because they called the police. Don't go there. Don't do that. Don't expose yourself to needless liability for this type of stuff. All right. And now for our comedic relief. Okay, I have to be honest with you. If I knew I could kiss a shark on the tip of his snoot without getting killed, I would totally do it. That's like a bucket list item for me right there. And yes, I admit I am strange. Okay, so next one, please send, the next one's a video. And I want to make sure that you guys can hear it. So I'm going to play it, and please put something in the private chat if you cannot hear what is happening. The first part is silent, where there's writing, okay? All right. Sorry, hold on one second. I gotta get it to play. All right. It's about 3.5 minutes, but I think you'll enjoy it. Architecture has no merit. There is no proof there area. There is no procedure. There is no documentation. There is nothing but arbitrary snip and vindictive tyranny. You have destroyed the value of our home. You're about to destroy the value of our home again. Your defense will not work. You are not just following orders. You are doing this willfully, maliciously, noxiously, purposefully, despite homeowner objection. You have violated 10 river laws.
You have violated the letter of the law. You have violated your CCNRs. You have violated your corporate bylaws. You have lied to us. You have reneged on something.
So it is turned up 100% right now, so I cannot make it any louder, I think. But let me try. I'll see. Let me try.
We'll expose what you've done using your own records. We'll expose what you've done using photography on film where it can't be digitally manipulated. We have all of that.
But there wasn't the agreement that you guys sent your stuff of the
The HOA thing changed nothing. Hold on, you're not doing that with solar panels. You're trying to realize you're lying.
I'm not screaming at you. We're just
I'm not screaming at you. I'm not screaming at you. That's a lie.
Okay. It seems like a lot of people can't really hear it, but I think you got the gist of it, right? This was a dude, and it's called Lots of Adjectives and Verbs because he was using a lot of different words out there, and he was trying to make his point. And the woman in the purple top, or the lavender top, she's the manager. And the guy next to her, I think, is the security dude. So I have to hand it to the manager. She has kept her cool on this one. The guy's going off. He's flailing his arms. They're pointing at her. He's coming towards her. And she is keeping her cool and her composition. Now, if we were to keep going with this, we would also see that at one point, what happened was apparently this couple sued the association and they had some sort of a settlement agreement where the association they agreed not to interfere with the association's ability to maintain their lawn. And it looks like they have been interfering, which is why the association hasn't been really doing anything with it. And that's what they're so upset about. Well, this manager, who I think was extremely prepared for this conversation, pulls up a copy of this agreement they signed on her phone and shows it to them when they're saying things that are completely inaccurate. They're saying, we said this and the association promised that. And she's like, well, come here. Let me show you what it says in the agreement. These owners keep yelling and they keep flailing and they keep saying things. But ultimately, the manager is holding them accountable for what the agreement says. I think this is a really, really good example of a community manager who is prepared, who is extremely reasonable. And I think if somebody were to watch that video, you know, if they were someone who didn't really have any preconceived notions, I think they would say that she is the one who came out as being the reasonable one, and the owners came out as being the less reasonable ones, because they are all going off and saying things and threatening things. And she kept her cool. So again, this is more for you community managers to show you that, hey, you guys work really hard on this, and it pays off when you can stand there despite the fact that homeowners are yelling at you and screaming at you, and you can stand there, be calm, and explain to them why they're wrong. I know it doesn't work, but the fact that you can do that is amazing, and more power to you. Someone asked if I can send the link to this video. I will see. I have to get with our IT people to see if I can do it. And if I can, then we will. Oop. All right, next one. What's wrong with HOAs as explained by Witwatts? Witwatts is apparently the name of this individual, or at least their name when it comes to their Twitter account. So Witwatts is brilliant in explaining this. The problem is that you sign a binding contract that includes all of your rights to your house and give it to a bunch of people that don't know or care about you, like your neighbors. Think of the groups you belong to already, your class at school, the people you ride the bus with, the people you work with. What would happen if the mean ones got together and could make you pay to them, and if you didn't pay, they could take your house? Wow. There's no rules except the ones they make up. You signed a contract to obey them. Holy cow. You're their slave. Wow. That's what's wrong with HOAs. All right. Did you guys buy that? All right. So unfortunately, and I think most of you will agree with me, this is the view that a lot of people have when it comes to HOAs. They truly believe that the HOA is there to take your money and make you their slave or to pick on you. And they truly do not understand what the purpose of an HOA is. This entry actually had a lot of comments, and the comments were all pretty much, yeah, brother, you're right. You know, HOAs suck, this and that. And so there's a lot of that mindset out there, but clearly that mindset isn't based on any facts. It's based on just this perception they have of HOAs. So what can an association do about that? Well, that's a whole nother class, I think. But we've got, if you just do a Google search for like HOAs and HOA meetings, things like that, you are going to pull up so many interesting things that it's a little concerning when you stop laughing at them. So the reason this guy gets the award, or girl, I guess it could be a female or whoever they are, the reason they get this award is because truly their explanation of what's wrong with HOAs encompasses nothing. So let's move on. So the next one's going to be another video. I am going to try, as with the last one, hopefully you can hear this one better. I think it might be louder than the other one. So let's give it a shot. Again, feel free to write in comments if you guys can't hear it. And this one I just called WTF. So let's hopefully play this bad boy.
You might have heard about homeowners having issues with HOAs, but you've probably...
By the way, please, can you guys all turn up your speakers as well? Because mine are 100%. And somebody texted on the other one saying they turned up their speakers and they could hear it a lot better. So turn up your speakers for me.
You might have heard about homeowners having issues with HOAs, but you've probably never heard anything like this.
All kinds of stories out there. When one woman started to question how her HOA board was spending money, she let Joe know what happened next. Investigator Joe Ducey is here to explain. These things get really dicey and over really silly things sometimes. Yeah.
You know, I want to say at the top, there's probably a lot of great HOAs out there. I don't hear about them. I hear about these.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I hear about the HOAs giving violations to people parked in the street. HOAs that won't allow certain paint colors. But this one is different. Watch what happens after one woman begins her own investigation into how her fees are being spent.
And like, what is going on?
Are you willing to? A regular HOA meeting in Superstition Lakes condominiums in Mesa turns ugly.
Yeah, I do too.
Hopefully Dario says she was hit by another owner. She recorded it all.
They have kept my husband at the meeting, and I had no idea what was gonna come next.
So how did the comm community get to this point? Money. Kathleen and some other condo owners here thought they were being hit by meaningless violations and not told why. So they turned the tables and they requested financial records from the board. What do you find?
Oh my goodness. So this is what I saw as we were going through.
Once they started going through the piles of receipts, invoices, and account listings, they say they started to notice some unusual purchases, all of which they say were reimbursed with HOA money to board president Michael Cassidy.
I mean, they bought laundry detergent and almonds and vodka and baby wipes and just about every time they bought air freshener.
Kathleen says she couldn't find any of these items were used by the HOA for the benefit of the condominiums.
We found out that the president turned in receipts for items that he purchased in New Jersey.
Not to mention the restaurants.
Old Chicago's for $79, P.F. Chang's for $100, On the Border $85, O'Sullivan's $73, more Old Chicago's $116.
He was reimbursed for those. And
One of the biggest thing was we saw $640 to the salt cellar for the annual meeting, and there's 3 board members.
Kathleen says she has a receipt from one restaurant showing $121 spent on alcohol. These condo owners say they didn't get notice of the meetings, and the meetings could have been held in their clubhouse.
He has turned in other receipts and been reimbursed with no proof that he actually paid those bills.
Like this invoice from Park Pro. Cassidy was reimbursed $591 from HOA funds, showing he paid the company for gate repairs. The company later showed they never did the work. The receipt was just an estimate.
We don't know where our money is.
In all, the homeowners say they found Cassidy had been personally reimbursed by the HOA a grand total of $38,000 in just the last 2 years. After trying to vote the board out with this petition, which the board largely ignored, Kathleen testified when a fellow homeowner decided to take them to court. In court, Cassidy and his lawyer fought the allegations and explained many of the reimbursements, but continued to deny my request for an interview.
Cassidy, it's Joe Ducey with ABC 15. Hi.
What about all the receipts? $1,000.
Is that a good use of HOA? Were you using any of this for your home in New Jersey, as the records seem to indicate?
He only referred me to his lawyer, who denied my request again. But Kathleen and her fellow homeowners aren't stopping now.
It's a rogue board, and they're dangerous.
Now, the judge in the case rejected the homeowner's request for a receiver to take over the HOA's finances, but he did demand the board release all financial records to homeowners and hold a special meeting to reconsider their petition to oust the board. So this isn't over yet. Go to abc15.com/let Joe know to keep up with this and all the other stories we've been working on. I hear about a lot of problems with HOAs. What do you think? Let me know. And if you need my help, call me, email me, and find me on Facebook.
Cassidy's lawyer, who's been
Yeah.
Thanks, Jeff. All right.
All right. Did you enjoy that? A lot of things with this one, just like with most of them. So the first thing is I want to talk about how the media portrays and this association, how it tells the story of this association. As you guys know and have seen for yourselves, the media does not take kindly to associations. It does not portray them in a good light. One thing that kind of floored me a little bit was in the beginning where Joe said, I am sure there's a lot of good associations out there. I just don't hear about them. The fact that he said that to me is huge. It's extremely positive. Okay, it is. We don't typically get any kind of kudos or any kind of acknowledgement from the media as far as there ever being anything positive with respect to an association. So the fact that he said that in the intro, I think that is great. I personally am impressed. Now, the rest of the story, of course, was told from this homeowner's perspective. And what do you guys think of her anyway? Did you find her kind of annoying, especially in the video where they're holding the meeting? It doesn't look like she had support of her fellow homeowners. They're telling her to get the hell out. They're telling her, she should move if she doesn't like it there. She's trying to destroy the community. So it really looked like she was not, the board apparently had support of a lot of the people at that meeting, and she was in the minority. So this was probably an example that we've seen where it's like one or two homeowners in the community that are not happy that are starting to do the digging. Now, the digging, that was interesting. It started off as them being upset that they were getting violations, right? And then they said, well, we're going to look at the financials, which a lot of times we also see. You have a homeowner who's upset about something, and then they make a records request, and they want everything under the sun, even though there's nothing to do with the records, with kind of what the real issue is. They always ask for financials. So this lady asks for financials. She looks at the financials, and she's like, what's going on here? Now, how many of you have boards that will hold their occasional meeting in a restaurant, in a bar, at a Starbucks, and they use their association credit cards to pay for the food, or they pay out of their own pocket and then get reimbursed by the association like this one board member did? That is very dangerous. It can turn on any board member and on any association like it did here. Now, I'm not saying this guy should have been spending all that money on the vodka and the almonds, as somebody commented, and on all the other stuff in New Jersey and the communities in Arizona. I mean, it sounds like this board president was not acting in an ethical manner, but the reimbursements were also approved by the other board members, right? So I would suspect the blame should fall on all of them. Now, that's neither here nor there. The issue I have and that I want to point out is be careful if you've got boards who want to hold meetings in bars and restaurants and whatever. If they're using their own money to pay, that's fine. I have no issue with it. If they're using their money, they're not getting reimbursed. But if they're going and they're drinking and they're eating and they're spending association funds on that, one can easily argue that is not an appropriate use of association funds. That's misappropriation. And that could expose our boards to a great deal of liability. So we don't know what really happened, obviously. All we hear is the side of this homeowner. It sounds like they were in court. Now, first of all, there was no criminal proceedings, right? So what does that mean? It means that I suspect they went to the police with this, and the police did not find an appropriate cause to do a criminal investigation. That's what it sounds like. So they initiated a civil suit against this board member. And we don't know kind of exactly. The judge denied the homeowner's request for a receiver to be appointed. So clearly the judge was not too concerned that there was something horrible going on with the financials. So again, there's more to the story than what we heard on the news, just based on how the judge reacted. The board president obviously didn't comment, the attorney didn't comment, and so we have no idea what all that is about. But I think the story here is that, well, A, this was entertaining, but B, the story is be careful if you are using association funds to pay for things that are not truly for the association's benefit. Okay, you ready? Let's go to number 7. This is called a good board member. I'm gonna stop as I read this just because it's interesting. So, dear homeowners and renters of, okay, I don't think that's an apartment building. I'm guessing it's a condo building. I write to inform you of my interest to run as your new board member in tomorrow's important election. Seems a little late for tomorrow's election. Wow. Okay, each unit has 5 votes. My interest in running is due to the fact that things need to change for the best and not continue for the worst in our building. That's profound. So this is during COVID, obviously, the mask mandate and fees against homeowners and their visitors if caught on camera without a mask needs to be abolished. The fascist controls, holy cow, the fascist controls from the current board and management need to come to a swift end. The improper lockdown of our gym needs to end. We all pay assessments for its use. So this kind of takes us back a few years to the days of COVID, when, as you probably recall, those of you who were managing or on boards during that time, that was the recommendation of most attorneys at the time, is close your pool, close your gyms. We don't want anyone to catch the virus and then sue the association because you don't have insurance for that. Clearly, this guy wasn't happy with that. Let's go on. I promise, if you vote for me tomorrow, I will do all I can to end the fascist fees. Again, fascist, he loves that word, and controls. We need to vote out blankety blank, 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 their names. We have 3 new names to vote for. You can count on me, who, this is hilarious, property manager misspelled incorrectly as blank instead of blank. I can only imagine what those blanks are. And you can count on manager to help, oh, no, his accomplice, I apologize. And you can count on his accomplice to help all of us remove the condo or the controls and extortion fees. So far, so good. You want him on the board? Now, here's where he drags management into this and makes a whole bunch of assumptions and predictions as to the future. Management will try not to be transparent with an actual vote count with all voting homeowners present to witness the counting. They called for a Zoom meeting with the virus as their usual excuse to try and rig the election in favor of the 3 fascist current board members. Oh. So now he's on a roll saying, I already know that the manager, first of all, the manager made all these decisions to hold the meeting virtually, right? You guys make all the decisions, and they're not going to be honest. They're just going to rig this election so that the current board stays on. I'm glad he can see the future. All right. We can't remove all current 4 board members. We can start with the 3 mentioned above, and to make our building a better and more positive place to live and conduct our daily lives without Big Brother. Okay, now he's citing literature without Big Brother and his puppets telling us how we need to live within our building with so many negative rules and ugly interior color schemes and poor dim lighting. So, okay, now we're throwing the kitchen sink in. You also have bad taste in color, board. You have horrible colors and the lighting's not good enough. Okay. I am including, here's the fun part, in this letter, a copy of the voting ballot that needs back, skipping some words, needs to be back by 6 p.m. We will try and audit the actual count and need you to text us if you voted to make sure it was legitimate when we do an actual counting. Reach us at blank, blank, blank with your name and unit number. So now he's asking these owners to text him and let him know if they actually voted and how they voted so that he can make sure that there wasn't any foul play by the evil manager, right? Oh my God, I would never as an owner text him, because if I'm voting for the current board, I'm not telling him that, right? So I suspect how this played out is most people didn't text him, and then he objected to the vote because there were more votes than the texts he received, and therefore it must have been a lie. Okay. Don't buy here. Goodness. Okay. The reason I put this one on here is because this guy, he thinks he's sticking it to this HOA. He's like, I'll show you, you target me for whatever covenant enforcement assessments, I'm going to put this big old sign up and show you I mean business. So what essentially is he really doing? So let's say you're looking for a home and you're driving through this community and you drive by this sign. Some people are going to be like, this guy's an idiot. I don't care. You know, I'm not going to even think about it. But some people are going to be like, oh my God, is the HOA really that bad? We shouldn't buy here. So for the people who are saying we shouldn't buy here, what this dude is actually doing is shrinking the pool of possible purchasers for homes in this community, which means property values are going to start to drop. He is impacting his neighbors' home values because he's sticking it to the HOA. So the only people he's sticking it to at this point is who? His neighbors. So sometimes a brilliant idea is not really that brilliant if you break it down to its parts. Okay, so again, this gets the Darwin Award because he's sticking it to the HOA by lowering property values in the community. You go, dude. Thanks, a-hole. This is, well, first, I think this letter is hilarious. And so we're going to read it. But this is also, I put this up here because I want to talk a little bit about perspectives. So, dear anonymous passerby, don't worry, you're safe now. Your act of casual cruelty was successful. The complaint you lodged with the HOA was heard. They had me take down the small tree fort that I built on this location with my sons during the pandemic. No longer will its presence offend your walk past my house. Please enjoy your stroll, free from the sound of my children's play and laughter. So good. They are safely back inside now, watching television, I'm sure. Enjoy the unobstructed view of my backyard. I will try to keep it up to code. Best, Dave. Okay, this is hilarious. I love it. Again, we don't know what the story is. This could have been, it looks to me like this might be part of common area because it's behind his house. It's not within his yard. So it sounds like maybe this guy put something up on common area that he wasn't supposed to put up. We don't know if this guy complained or if the board saw it and was like, no, you have to take it down. So we don't know what happened here, but my guess is this has more to do with the fact that he put some unapproved structure on a common area than it does with people complaining, saying it's bothering me and my walk, my stroll. But again, we don't know. But this is all about perspective. So when we look at it with our HOA eye, we're thinking, okay, there's a million different explanations here where this was a legitimate request by the association to remove the structure. However, for this guy who's the victim here, right? And he's blaming some anonymous passerby that he doesn't know who that is. And he's basically saying, thanks, a-hole. Now my kids don't have a place to play. And I think they're inside watching TV because I'm not there watching them because I don't care. No, I'm kidding. So it's all about perception. And again, if you were to read this as an annoyed homeowner in your own HOA, guess what? You are probably going to say, damn, this HOA sucks. They shouldn't have, listened to the complaint. They shouldn't have made him take it down. Right? Okay. Now, the last thing I want to do is actually give you some actual manager quotes, or not quotes, but stories. I found this online portal where community managers posted stories of like what they had experienced. And there were just so many good ones. I picked 3 so I could fit them all on one little page, and I'm going to share those with you because I suspect many of you have experienced similar types of issues. A resident was continually complaining to the property manager that he was hearing ghosts moaning at night. Turns out it was a faulty toilet valve in the condo next door. Condo manager received a late night emergency call stating that there was water dripping everywhere. When the manager arrived, the resident pointed to the water dripping from the bathroom faucet. When asked why a leaky faucet was an emergency, the resident said he couldn't sleep. Seriously? And here's my favorite. During a board meeting, a resident was yelling so loud that his false teeth flew out of his mouth and hit the board president on the head. No assault charges were filed. All right, you've seen stuff like this. You guys probably have tons and tons of your own stories as far as, the types of incidents you've experienced and have seen during meetings. So I just wanted to share these with you. I thought they were humorous and entertaining, nothing else. So owners, don't make your life easy. They don't make our life easy. They don't make the board's life easy. We already know that. But we don't hear these stories on the news, do we? So for all our Darwin Award winners, Morgan Freeman has something to say. Okay, well, 12:53. I don't know if we have questions. I see one here. Hold on. What about a board that sends a letter stating owner is removed from a committee because they misbehaved, but refuses to give supporting documentation that supports the misbehavior? Well, in Colorado, so we're just gonna focus on Colorado, committee members may be removed with or without cause. So in essence, the board doesn't have to provide a cause. They can say, thank you for your service, bye-bye. And if that committee member wants to know why they were removed, there's no obligation on the part of the board to explain it to them because they don't need a reason. I'm not saying that's the best way to go, but if we're looking at a purely kind of legal side of things, there is no obligation. But this is also what causes, distension between homeowners and board members is things like that, where now maybe this person knows why they were removed and is just trying to get the board to say something incriminating. I don't know. But then result is there is no obligation, at least in Colorado, unless your governing documents say something different. Let's see if I have any other questions. This is just a comment, and I'm sure you all agree with this. Unfortunately, we see some bully type activities and discrimination from some board members unchecked. That is true. There's only so much you can do about that. Let's see, I don't. Okay, I think that's all we really have right now. And you guys get out 5 minutes early. Join me next week. We're going to do a contractor selection webinar. It's going to be the last one of the year. Thank you. I'm sorry the sound was kind of iffy on that first video. Hopefully you got something out of it. We'll see you next time.